realized today that when I think about decision making, there may be a piece that I'm not considering, or at least considering enough. And that's our, I guess, putting it at like a first principles level, it's our tolerance for discomfort. Another way I would phrase it is like our grit or resiliency. Because when I think about decision making and the mental math that we run and the calculation and the cost benefit or pleasure versus discomfort, analysis that we're doing, I think correctly, I'm trying to maximize the cost benefit, right? I'm trying to make sure we get the most benefit at the least cost. I'm trying to be efficient in that regard. And I think that's good. I think that's what we should strive for. But there might be a component of it that I haven't thought enough about, again, related to this grit and resiliency, which is if you have a high tolerance for discomfort, if you have a lot of grit, if you have a lot of resiliency, as you're making those decisions, that impacts the math in a very big L logical way, right? If you're making a decision, let's say it's a business decision, you're gonna make an investment, and there's a chance that, you're gonna lose in that investment, but you feel really confident in your ability to be resilient, that even if you lost all that money, you could build it back up. Therefore, you're willing to take that chance. You're willing to take that risk. It might be that on paper, quote unquote, for a lot of people, they would say, hey, making that investment is a bad idea. It's not big L logical, right? You look at all the factors, you look at everything at play, and it doesn't make sense to do that. The odds are probably maybe more in the favor that you're gonna lose. And it doesn't have to be an investment, that's just an easy thing, right? It could be a relationship, it could be a new job that you take, it could be any decision, really. If it may look like on paper, hey, it's more likely than not, you're not gonna reach your objective there. But if you know, hey, I have grit, I'm resilient, I have a high tolerance of discomfort, I'm good with not hitting that objective here because I'll bounce back and I'll find another way to do it. And in almost like a more macro level calculation, more of almost like a portfolio view, you've analyzed this and said, if this allows me to make more decisions, to get more inputs, to take more action, that's going to ultimately at the macro level get me closer to my objective, whatever that might be, well, then that's okay. I'm okay on this one-off decision, seemingly acting illogical, right? Seemingly making a choice that doesn't seem to be the best choice in line with my objective, because I'll bounce back from it. And I know I have that capability. And with that, I'll bring in these more inputs, I'll bring in this more data, which will make me better overall. Or maybe you just think like, hey, I just need more swings. I don't know enough the way the external environment is set. I can't control it enough that the best thing for me to do is just to have more opportunities. Therefore, I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to do this, right? And I just don't think, as I've been thinking about this, I've factored that in enough. I don't think I've considered the idea of that. I've tried to really maximize for individual decisions and individual actions to say, I want to make sure I get to the best possible outcome, which is what's going to get me closest to my objective. But it's important to step back, I think, and take that portfolio view of our life, ultimately, and all the decisions we make in our life, and say, hey, how do they fit together? How do these decisions tie together towards the objective that I want to get to? Particularly when you're doing it that way, I think that grit and that resiliency comes in so much. Because if you know you have that tolerance, if you know you have that ability to kind of take that on the chin and keep moving, that changes things a little bit. It might change the way you perceive that cost benefit or that pleasure versus discomfort analysis. And you put that together with the portfolio view, and perhaps, I guess, if I had to put it in my terms, there might have been decisions in isolation that I were making that seemed to be big L logical, but actually were not when you looked at it in the full portfolio perspective.